Donald Trump spent the whole of Wednesday talking about Iran and in the process left himself utterly exposed. And going by his insane contradictions, it's fair to conclude that Americans have reason to worry. I shall explain that in detail in a bit, but let's look at his public utterances first. First, he spoke to media representatives during the flagpole installation on the south lawn of the White House. I'm calling them media representatives and not reporters or journalists because they once again shamed the profession of journalism with their abject surrender to Trump. They had another opportunity to call out these warmongers' lies, but they refused to do so. Trump once again repeated his lies, accusing Iran of not agreeing for talks, adding that their refusal to hold talks had prompted the rogue regime of Israel to launch an illegal war. Look, I have nothing to do with Iran or Israel or Palestine or America. But you must call out the lies. If the elected representatives and politicians as important as Donald Trump, if he repeats his lies, we must call it out. It's just not healthy. And I'll explain how, but you first watch this clip.
Have you given to answer questions about whether you are moving closer, or you believe the U.S. is moving closer to striking Iranian nuclear facilities? Where's your mindset?
Well, obviously I can't say that, right?
But where's
you
your
don't
mindset
seriously
on
think
that?
I'm going to answer that question? Will you strike the Iranian nuclear component? And what time exactly, sir? Sir, would you strike it? Would you please inform us so we can be there and watch?
But would you say you're
You don't know that I'm going to
closer
even do
wanting
it.
to
You
get
don't know. I
involved?
may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. I can tell you this, that Iran's got a lot of trouble, and they want to negotiate. And I said, why didn't you negotiate with me before? All this death and destruction. Why didn't you negotiate? I said to the people, why didn't you negotiate with me 2 weeks ago? You could have done fine. You would have had a country.
Do you think he's telling us the truth? No. Last Thursday, which is 12th of June, exactly a week from now, he was telling reporters about the planned talks between Steve Witkoff and Iranian representatives that was scheduled for Sunday, the 15th of June. So according to him, the comments that he was making on 12th of June, he promised everybody that there will be talks between Iran and America on 15th of June. But what happened? On the 13th of June, Netanyahu embarked on an assassination spree in Tehran, starting an illegal war on a sovereign country. This is what Trump had told reporters on 12th of June.
I said, look, I want to have an agreement with Iran. We're fairly close to an agreement. We are fairly close to a pretty good agreement. It's got to be better than pretty good, though, but it's got to be, I'd much prefer an agreement. As long as I think there is an agreement, I don't want them going in because I think that would blow it. Might help it, actually, but it also could blow it. But we've had very good discussions with Iran. Whether or not we get there, I can't tell you, but it'll happen soon.
Does it sound like Trump accusing Iran of not agreeing for talks? Ironically, not a single person claiming to be a reporter had the courage to call out Trump's brazen lie. Hence my refusal to address them as journalists. They are cowards, willing to do anything to keep their corporate jobs intact. What's more, Trump contradicted himself so spectacularly within a span of a few seconds while answering a question from a woman. Neither that woman nor anyone else in the crowd could detect this embarrassing gaffe and therefore challenge Trump. Watch this gold nugget.
Mr. President,
It
have the Iranians
ended
reached out
on the
to you?
first night, yes.
Is it too late, though? Do you think it's too late to now
Not really, nothing's
make
too
a
late.
deal with
The only thing
Iranians?
too late is Powell. Powell's too late. Too late, Powell.
Have the Iranians reached out to you,
TOO.
Mr. President?
What?
Have the Iranians reached out to you?
Yes?
And what did they say?
I said it's very late.
Either it's too late or it's not too late. It can't be both. This should worry Americans. doesn't sound like a person whose cognitive ability is in good shape. And this guy is planning to drag his country to a dangerous illegal war. My question is to Americans, would you let him do that? Then he claimed that Iranians had requested him to visit in the White House.
It was such a shame. They were so close. You know, Iran was very close to signing what would have been a very good agreement for them. And maybe that could still happen, I guess. You know, they do want to come and see us. They want to see me in the White House. That's a big statement. But it's very late.
Is it enough of a statement to hold off getting?
We're going to see what happens. Look, we're going to see what happens. Ending it as soon as you can would be good.
Another lie, because Iran has termed Trump's claim as a lie. Do you think Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's latest tweet is suggestive of his willingness to hold talks with Trump? The Iranian supreme leader wrote on Twitter, and I quote, "The very fact that the Zionist regime's American friends have entered the scene and are saying such things is a sign of that regime's weakness and inability." End quote. This is what Iranian ambassador to the United Nations had to say to Trump.
Finally, Iran will continue to act under international law. But unless the Security Council acts decisively or unless the international community steps in to stop the aggressor, Iran will continue to defend its sovereignty and its people with determination. This is not only our right, but also our responsibility. Our response is solely aimed at deterring further aggression and preventing the repetition of such crimes.
Once again, does he sound like someone who is desperate to hold talks with Trump or his administration for a ceasefire? As Trump continued with his blabbering, he gave it away. He ended up admitting that his troops were indeed involved in the offensives against Iran. First he said this.
It's just something that people talk about having. We're the only ones that have the capability to do it, but that doesn't mean I'm going to do it at all. Yeah, we have the best military equipment in the world. You see that with this fight. We have planes that are undetectable, flying around like, you know, nobody's able to see them stealth. You guys want to be stealthy tonight, you know, you can be stealthy.
Now, if there was any ambiguity in his first statement, he said this.
Is there a possibility of next week or sooner that these officials?
Well, I don't know how much longer it's going to go on. They're totally defenseless. They have no air defense whatsoever. We've totally captured. We've totally captured the air, Brian.
He said, "We have totally captured the Iranian airspace." Pay attention to the word "we." Who are we here? Surely he's not identifying himself as the president of Israel, is he? Does he still want the world to believe that the US hasn't been involved in helping Israel launch an illegal attack on a sovereign country? I will let you decide. Anyway, thank you very much for your support of this platform and our journalism on buymeacoffee.com and Patreon. If you too think that our journalism is worth supporting, then you too should consider becoming part of it. Details are there in the description of this video. In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.